Hi guys, time for the Scorpio reading. I'm doing this actually right on full moon day. It's Thursday the 15th of August 2019 as I'm doing this. And that is also the very last day of the post-shadow after Mercury retrograde. That time when it's not, well, it is the end of Mercury retrograde, but some of the craziness is still going on. It's all about finding answers though. Let's see if we can find some answers in this reading. 3-card tarot for Scorpio, which we are getting on with right this very minute. Okay, so what is the first card for Scorpio this week? It is number 20, Judgment, Major Arcana, so very, very close to your heart, Scorpio, okay? Number 20, we're looking at completion not just once, but twice, so you really have made some good progress on this journey by the look of it. But what about judgment? Does this mean using your own judgment? Not exactly. It's a very old expression and a very old meaning of the word judgment. It's a lot closer to justice, actually, and it's a lot closer to the general idea of balance. Now, what the rabbit in the sky here blowing the trumpet is actually doing is bringing divine light into the world, and we can see the pure golden energy right behind the rabbit here. And the people are kind of waking up. It's as if they've all, it really is as if they've all been asleep for quite some time. This is a lot like the Christian view of what they call the Day of Judgment. Their belief is that people die and have to be buried, not cremated, because one day Jesus is going to come back and blow the trumpet like this rabbit and they're going to come back to life. Well, that is something that's mocked a lot by people who aren't Christians, but it's unfortunate because it is a really, really true thing if you come back from the basic kind of physical way it's been described in the Christian faith. But something of judgment always is going to come up towards the end of our life. In spiritualism, we call it compensation and compensation and retribution for blah blah. I don't know, it's a long thing, but we call it compensation and retribution. And really it's a balancing act, okay? So this is things coming into balance that haven't been balanced for some time, and I feel quite strongly that you've put the work in for this. I really do, Scorpio. It just kind of, it hasn't come to fruition. Maybe many years ago, I don't know, but some way in the past is this work, and now you're being called on to come to light with it because the time is right for those ideas and those things to happen. That's Tarot in Wonderland. This is Kyle Gray, Keepers of the Light, which we're using for Oracle card significators all this week. And so, tell us more, please, about number 20, the Judgment card in this reading for the sign of Scorpio. And we've got the Holy Spirit, expect miracles. Not the first time I've had this card this week by a very long way. It's come up several times. So I think we're looking at Miracle Week here. And I guess with the full moon in Aquarius and the end of Mercury retrograde post-shadow, that might very well be the case. It's got to be the case because this keeps coming up. And the Holy Spirit is saying, remember that only love is real. Miracles will occur naturally. Spirit has your back. And that's a real message. That comes up not just in that card, but in several cards in this deck, actually. And we need to remember that Spirit has our back. And when we're on the spiritual journey, or as we're just kind of going through life and consulting spiritual influences like the tarot, like readers, like psychics, whatever, when we're consulting that, there's a certain amount of questioning going on, and we are actually all being drawn towards miracles. I'm not saying we perform the miracles, I'm saying we experience them. One of the worst things that's ever got into religions of any kind is when people say that they can do miracles. It's not, but that's never the point. The point is miracles happen if you follow the divine, if you're kind of careful, if you're real, if you're true with yourself as well. That's important. Okay, so what happens after Judgment then, Scorpio? Let's get on to the middle card in this spread for the sign of Scorpio, please. Another tarot card from Tarot in Wonderland for Scorpio in this reading, which I'm doing in full moon week, August 2019. And we've got Queen of Pentacles. And I've got a really bad throat this morning, excuse me. More tea. Wonderful, right, so the middle card, this is the heart of the matter, Queen of Pentacles, right? Basically, when this card comes up, you can choose what you want off the shelves. This deck, it always shows Alice as almost like the querent, the person going on the journey in all the readings. So this, dear viewer, is just pretty much yourself, a miniature version of yourself on the shelf there. You can reach out and take that. Actually, in the story, Alice reaches out and takes an egg. But the thing here is, the Queen of Pentacles, the sheep shopkeeper, can't take things off the shelf and hand them to you. This is a cosmic kind of a spiritual kind of a shop, and you can only get the things by earning them. But in this point in the story, Alice has actually already earned the right to do that. So I'm saying that to you, Scorpio, you know. And this is look. These guys waking up here, this is because they've done all the work. They thought that never anything would come to fruition. And maybe even years later, this could be decades later, it could be a few days later. It varies so much. Suddenly, you know, the shadow self is coming into being, it's coming alive, and the mission is making itself fairly clear at this point, Scorpio. Okay, I'll try and be fairly unequivocal. Just decide what you actually want off the menu of life at the moment. Reach out and start making the effort to grab it, because it is there for the taking, and it is very much yours. So, okay, let's have a shuffle of Keepers of the Light and say, tell us more about Queen of Pentacles in this reading for Scorpio, please. Tell us more in this reading for the sign of Scorpio. And we've got Joan of Arc, Voice of Truth. Stand strong, focus on your purpose, release the fear of persecution and speak your truth. There we go. Joan of Arc, there is absolutely no messing with this character, a very, very strong character, and look at that determined look on her face. Most of the cards in this deck have that determined look, actually. I'm just drawn to point it out this time. I'm not always drawn to point it out, but look at that determination, okay? The voice of truth is the voice of truth. There's no other way around it. How do we know what's true? Well, we don't always, but the fact is that all the rest is lies. So look for something you feel confident with. Okay, that is super important, Scorpio. Focusing on your purpose and standing strong. And it's your purpose coming back to life that this card, Judgment, is all about, where we started off. But in terms of the Queen of Pentacles, the sheep shopkeeper, this is a very high energy. It's a lot to do with completion. It's all the elements, earth, wind, fire and water, working together under the control, under the auspices of the divine. So yet again, you could think to yourself, Spirit has your back, but release the fear of persecution and speak your truth. That is a real tricky one, okay? And I'm going to dare to talk about myself for a second here. I really, really believe in divination, the tarot, oracle cards. I'm a spiritualist medium. I see how real it is all the time, you know. So I speak my truth when I do this. And I'm also facing in a very small way, a fear of persecution. I don't think anyone's going to kill me or anything like that. But when you do this work, some people think you're stupid. Some people think you're a complete rip-off. And some people just laugh at the whole thing. I do this my whole life. It's just about this and music are the only two things that I really physically do. And people put me down for it. I can't get away from it. But I know it's true. Once you know these things are real, you can never go back to a point in time where you don't know they're real. So, you know, come out of the closet if you have to. That's not what's on the card here. But, you know, releasing the fear of persecution and speaking your truth, as Joan of Arc says, they are the way to get things done. They are the way to be an example. They are the way to make an example. But more than anything, Scorpio, they're in your path and they're the heart of the matter. Okay, so don't be afraid to be proud of who you are. Don't be afraid to be proud of what you do. Not everyone's going to appreciate it. That is the nature of life. But don't hide that light under a bushel. Okay, just to have a bit of biblical input there. Do not hide that light under a bushel. We're moving on right now, and I'm going to say let's have the next card, the next tarot card in this 3-card spread for the sign of Scorpio. Please, let's have the next tarot card. And what we've got is number 1, it's the Magician. Mr. Caterpillar. Not the first time I've seen him in the last couple of days. It's obviously a very magical time. But then again, with full moon and with the end of Mercury retrograde, it would be a magical time, would it not, friends? Oh, I'm sorry, let me just lock this thing there. I keep knocking the camera and that's no good. Right, so bit more steadiness called for in my video making here. So maybe there's more steadiness called for in your life. But this card, it's number 1. It really is the beginning of the journey. It's not number 0. This is things are actually, you know, you have embarked. If you were going somewhere in a car in this journey, you'd have put the petrol in, the gas or whatever, or the diesel, and you'd be actually on your way when this card comes in. It's showing all the energies together. It could almost be a pentacle card because it's showing all the 4 signs working together there. The caterpillar magician here has a sword and a wand, whereas the traditional magician only has the wand and the sword is lying on the table in front of him. This magician actually has the sword. This magician is making things happen. So this is progress, and this is showing that if you're just really be confident with the sheep shopkeeper bit, really focus on speaking your truth, really focus on being yourself there as this kind of progression unfolds, then by the time you get here, that journey just is not going to be a problem. It's not going to be a problem anyway, but you're going to be a lot more confident in it. That's what I'm saying. Okay, let's have an oracle card for that one then. So tell us more, please, about number 1, the magician, in this reading for the sign of Scorpio. Tell us more about number 1, the magician, please. And we've got Master Jesus, and it's about forgiveness. Wow, very powerful energy here. Now, this actually reminds me of a really powerful and potent thing in the New Age spiritual community that's been going on for a long time, actually. Many of the Christian churches think that we've completely lost the plot and we've turned our back on Jesus so we can kind of follow Doreen Virtue and stuff like that instead. And even Doreen Virtue's kind of turned her back on us and gone to work for Jesus. Or so she says. I'm not sure what I think about that. But no, Jesus is a wonderful energy. The stories of Jesus are fantastic philosophy. It's all been rather corrupted because the thing about Jesus is he channels a lot of power. And when you start thinking about Jesus, when you start actively wanting to work with Jesus, you get this wonderful power, and it pulls in 2 directions, because Jesus always has the stories of Jesus can either unite people or cut them apart like a sword coming in. Really powerful influence. But he is extremely powerful, and he says you are on the path of light, love and forgiveness. Father healing is possible at this time. And that's father as in your dad rather than further. Although healing does always take you further. How much further do you want to go, Scorpio? That's a question worth asking yourself, because just as this reading starts with that and ends with this, I'm saying the sky's the limit. Well, really there are no limits, because the sky isn't the limit, is it, either, when you're walking on the spiritual path. But don't forget, right, this is in the outcome as well, and this shows you've had that power all along. You've got it now, and you always will have it. Thank you, Scorpio. I'm leaving it there. Much appreciated you viewing me. Don't forget to give me a like if you've enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe button and tap the bell. Leave me a comment. We'll share the journey. Share me around the internet if you can. I will be back really soon with more readings. Have a great week, Scorpio. Peace.